Ladies and gentlemen, meet the 2018 Buick Regal, and this is the Sportback. And what makes it special, of course, is the fact that it is a hatchback, but it is only one of 3 variants of Regal coming to a dealership near you. There's the station wagon, and of course, the powerful GS. But right now, let's get behind the wheel of the Sportback and see how it drives. Buick says this car competes with cars like the Acura TLX, the Audi A5, and even to some extent the Honda Accord. So it's kind of in that white space, and that's what Buick is all about now. They're trying to find white space in the automobile business where nobody else is at. And what I mean by white space is a segment that is empty. They've done it with the Cascada, their 4-seater convertible, and now they're doing it with this. They're quite brave to bring out a hatchback sedan when nobody's buying hatchbacks or sedans. They're also doing it with the wagon, the Tour X, which is coming soon, and to some extent with the all-wheel drive GS. I am sitting behind where I drive, but look at all this legroom I have. Now, of course, with a Sportback, you're going to get a sexy roofline, but you're going to pay the price. It's a little tight. Of course, I'm 6'2", so I'm a little bit taller than your average person, but nevertheless, for 4 people, this is a comfortable car. For 5, it's going to be a bit of a penalty box. What you lack in headroom, you gain in trunk space with this Sportback. About 60.7 cubic feet of space with the seats folded down, about half that with them folded up. I love how this opens. All you do is press in the badge, and it's enormous back here. How enormous? Well, there's only one way to prove it, and I can show you. I mean, look at this. This is enormous. Me and Nathan could both, well, snuggle up back here is probably a bad idea. But anyway, all right, probably you could get 4, 5, 6 sets of golf clubs in here with the seats down, but you see what I mean. It's huge back here. I'm really by myself. I really don't like shutting myself in the back of this thing when there's nobody else but me here. Seems like a good way to show up late to dinner. So we know that an automotive journalist fits in the back of the Sportback, but does a bicycle and a unicorn. And Buick was kind enough to set up a demonstration between what they say is a competitor for this vehicle, which is the Acura TLX, and of course, the Sportback Regal. So let's try to put this bike, first of all, in the Acura and see if it fits. Now, I suspect that they wouldn't set up this demonstration if it wasn't to their advantage. So chances are that this bike will not fit in the back of the Acura. Yeah, no, that is no good, of course, but not surprising. It does not fit in the back of the Acura, but will it fit in the back of the Sportback? And I'm suspecting that it will fit back here easily. But will the unicorn fit? The unicorn will fit. But what will happen if we do that? I can't do it. I can't do it. You could probably break the unicorn. I'm not going to break the unicorn's neck. We'll just leave it at that. Under the hood, well, you guessed it, it's a 2-liter turbo like every other car. And that's partially because this is based on a European model, the Opel Insignia. Now, this engine puts out 250 horsepower and 265 pound-foot of torque. And it is mated to either an 8-speed automatic when you get the all-wheel drive, or a 9-speed automatic when you get this front-wheel drive. So, how does the Regal Sportback drive? Well, let's give it the beans and see just how much power this 2-liter turbo really puts out. No torque steer. You know, it's not bad. It's got a little bit of the beans in it. Very smooth engine. This front-wheel drive version gets 9 gears, which seems like an adequate number for a Buick. Check it out, guys. We're rolling on 18s, and these are actually unusual tires because they have foam inside of them to reduce the noise, vibration, and harshness that comes up through the wheels into the cabin. Does it work? Yeah, I'd say it works. If this car looks and drives European, it's because, well, it is European. It's built in Europe. It's based on the Opel insignia. And as you recall, GM used to own Opel. And at that time, this Buick was co-developed with Opel for America. And you know what? I think that's a good thing. The car is sexy, the car is stylish, and the car drives like a European car. But let's get behind the wheel and I'll explain more. This was kind of co-developed, I take it, with Opel in Europe. It's known as an insignia, and it's built in Europe.
It is, yeah, no surprise there. We do things to, share amongst our, global partners. We do it together, but yet we do individualize the vehicles for the regions that they're sold in as well.
So how has this been tailored to the American market?
Things that set it off a little bit different than the Opel, besides obviously the Buick Qs that exist.
Yes.
We would pick slightly different interior and exterior colors as an example. That's something simple. But then it comes down to some of the development work that happens later in the program too. We do noise and vibration development that's a little bit different for the Buick North America customer or the China customer. Ride and handling, tuning differences would be the main areas that we would focus on.
Here's the thing about the interior. It's very nice. Everywhere you look, it feels expensive. The leather is French stitched. The steering wheel has a nice, thick, leather wrapped feel to it. But at $25,000, this is an exceptionally good interior. But at $38,000, these hard plastics are just a little too hard.
The front-wheel drive is mated to a 9-speed and the all-wheel drive is mated to an 8-speed.
Why is that?
In order to develop the vehicle in the amount of time we wanted to, that's what was available to us. I think in the future you'll see it all going to 9 speeds.
Mm-hmm. All-wheel drive is an option, right?
All-wheel drive is an option on the Sportback model, which is the one we're sitting in here. The Tour X is all-wheel drive all the time, and the GS is also all-wheel drive.
And is that, tell me about the all-wheel drive system. I guess one of the unique features is you can not only modulate power from the front to the rear wheels, but from left to right as well.
Yeah, we have what's called our active twin clutch system. Provides a lot more features for our controls and development engineers to use. To basically, you can put the torque where you need it, when you need it. The customer doesn't really need to do anything. It's always going to happen. It's going to make for a better improvement on dry roads, better driving performance, can be more spirited. You can go from understeer and provide a little more oversteer feeling, and then on split mu, where it's icy on one side or dry on the other side, you can just put the torque where you need it, and the customer's going to have a lot more.
It's all transparent.
All transparent to the customer. It's happening all the time.
So how does that work? Is there like a computer that's checking to see the differentials in speed between wheels?
Exactly. You've got all the sensors for wheel speeds on all 4 corners, and then you can control twin. We call it active twin clutch because there's 2 clutches in the rear, which can put all the torque to one tire in the rear or the other tire in the rear from 0 to 100 back and forth as needed, based on what's required, what you're doing, what you're asking the car to do, and what the car's actually doing. All
right, so here we have the Audi Quattro. As you can tell, only one wheel has traction. 3 wheels don't. The car is stuck. Imagine if you had 3 wheels on ice and 1 wheel that wasn't on ice. It's gonna be stuck. Here we have the Regal. Same situation. Go for it. Can you pull off? There it goes. So what that demonstration shows is that as long as you can appropriate power to the wheel that has traction, you can get out of a sticky situation, and that is one of the unique features of this Buick Regal Sportback. The grand total on this car that I'm testing is $36,270, which is a lot of money for a car that doesn't have paddle shifters, doesn't have a sunroof, and doesn't have all-wheel drive. How do you tell an all-wheel drive Regal from a front-wheel drive Regal? Well, these are pre-production units that we're test driving, so they don't have the badge, but there will be a badge right here that'll say all-wheel drive. But perhaps the best way to tell is on the Monroney. The front-wheel drive starts at about $26,000. the all-wheel drive 32. And this all-wheel drive model with everything, take a look, $39,320. And that is how you can tell an all-wheel drive versus a front-wheel drive Buick Regal Sportback. Of course, Buick has kind of always been the mid car in the range for GM. So Chevy is the everyman car, Cadillac is the car that the CEO buys, and the doctor and the dentist buy the Buick. And I think that still holds true. So here in America, at least, Buick is a premium brand that competes with other brands like Acura, Infiniti. Let's talk safety tech. What can you get in this car?
This comes with the standard, I shouldn't say standard, I mean it's, you know, all the safety tech that you want. It's got the 10 airbags obviously as base content as well, but then you can go through your varying levels of lane keep assist and rear cross traffic alert.
Autonomous braking?
Autonomous braking, yeah, front pedestrian braking, so you get auto emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, the full suite of Buick safety features that we've had. And then you can get heads-up display, which I like to consider a bit of a safety feature as well in the GS model. One thing that is unique to this, in conjunction with the front pedestrian braking, we also have an active hood. When you get a chance, you can see the video over here. And what that is there's a pressure sensor in the front of the vehicle, and as it senses a collision with a would-be pedestrian, and that, you know, terrible event that could occur, what it's going to do is fire small pyrotechnic devices in the hinges that are closest up here to these pillars. And the hood is going to pop up before, basically like an airbag, in just milliseconds, about 4 inches, and help cradle that pedestrian to the hood.
Talking to a friend about that, right? A lot of that has to do with the European crash.
It does, yeah.
And what ended up happening is you couldn't have these cars with low hoods because it was too dangerous, and so you kind of solved that issue by making the hood pop.
The hood pops up.
Kind of a sexy profile.
Yeah, if the hood is laying right basically on the engine or other hard parts underneath there, and a pedestrian hits it, it's going to be a major injury. You get that hood up, you cradle them kind of like a catcher's mitt style, and it's going to be a lot softer. And there's clear data coming out of Europe, who's a little more advanced in pedestrian production.
How fast does that pop
shows like 15 milliseconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just like wondering like how long it'll take before somebody, like after the car is used, like takes a pumpkin and then sets it off.
That would be
chuck a pumpkin.
I could. You're gonna.
You can see that like 20 years from now.
It might be sooner than that. Thinking about it, that could be interesting.
There you go. I don't know if you saw that, but the traction control light did come on just for a second when I floored it. That's because, of course, this is a front-wheel drive version, and I think this is about as much power as you'd want to put through these wheels without actually having a lot of torque steer, which luckily I don't have. So how fast is this bad boy from 0 to 60? Well, that's something, of course, we will be testing in Colorado when we get the car back, which we will, of course. And of course, we'll also test to see how good it is in the snow. And this is always my softball question, kind of, you know, this has been your baby. What's your favorite part of the car?
I like that, so in my neighborhood, which maybe is not a lot different than your neighborhood, things are getting full of mid-sized SUVs and crossovers.
Yes.
I do like those vehicles, and I like that the versatility that they give you, but I really enjoy driving a car. So a couple things about this that I like is it's a car, it's driver focused, if you can kind of see the cockpit here. And then this, you get all those feelings of still being in a car, and then with the Sportback having that 5th door and all the cargo space that you want back there, and that versatility gives me a little bit more peace of mind as I move away from my mid-size crossover back into cars.
What's the split? Is it 50-50, 20-40 on the rear seats?
The rear seats can be 40-60, and as you move up models, you get a 40-20-40 is one of the options.
You can do 3, yeah.
Yep.
So
and then
60.7
cubic feet of storage when you fold down the seats and everything there. So it's really a lot of space back there.
That's like 5 golf bags.
You probably could easily get 5 golf bags in there.
Do you think that sedans and hatchbacks, sportbacks are making a comeback?
A comeback? No, I mean the market would say that it's not happening.
People still like the crossover.
People are moving to crossovers, some into SUVs, smaller crossovers, what I like to call tall cars, really. That's going to continue to be, but there's always going to be a sedan market out there. It's going to continue probably to come down in the short term and then some sort of level off, and depending on who you believe, between 1.5, 1.7 million units a year. So it's still significant. We still got to be a player here. We're, from Buick here, we're really trying to offer something a little bit different.
Who did you benchmark when you did this vehicle?
There was benchmarking with Acura, and then
TLX.
The TLX as an example, and then some of the Sportback competitors that are more higher priced, but still kind of have that same versatility from Volvo and BMW as well. And then some Buick sometimes cross shops with Lexus a little bit.
It is driving into your local Buick dealership as we speak, and coming soon, beginning of next year, you'll also get the wagon and of course the GS. As always, this is Roman reporting for the Fastlane Car. Check out tflcar.com for more news, views, and of course, Buick hatchback, make that Sportback reviews. See you guys next time. Ciao.